Alright guys, so today we are messing with a 2017 Ford with the 1.5 liter turbo. This is the probably one of the worst ideas for Ford, in my opinion. The motors are not the best, and there's just cramped for room. So customer called in, said it's got a rattling noise. We scheduled an appointment and it broke down before then, but the rattling noise is, well, the alternator shot. So well, this is a stretch belt, so there's not a traditional tensioner in here, so we cut the belt off, but you can see right there's the issue. So I will show you the process. Alright, so this is a stretch belt, so we went ahead and cut it off. I just used a tool from Matco. It is a sharp knife to get in there and cut it, because this is a stretch belt. So what we're going to do, and I've already kind of started this, is this hose right here. Unclamp the hose, so I got this up out of the way. The washer solvent right here just pops off, literally, and same way with the holder. It actually goes like that, and that just pops off. Second thing I did was disconnect the positive. I could have done the negative back over here, but the positive was just easier. I used a short stubby 10 millimeter. Just use caution, make sure, because I undid the positive, there's nothing close enough to ground where you can short out and destroy the battery terminal. And then we got the power cable, positive cable, off of the alternator, which is a 13 millimeter, and the connector. And lastly, I've got a jack down here supporting the oil pan. So what we're going to do is take this lower bolt right there off, this one here, 15 millimeter back here. That will allow us to physically move the engine back. We'll have to get a pry tool and kind of push it back to get it out of the way. There's a 15 millimeter bolt underneath. You can see it, you can access it, you can do just about everything from up top except for put the stretch belt on. So got a 15 millimeter here, 15 millimeter here, and a inverted Torx, an E-Torx here. I'll give you the sizes. So we're going to get that off, then we're going to get the engine physically pushed back, and the alternator will come out through here. So I will get you in time lapse and show you. Okay, so as you can see, that was easy but difficult. The reason I say easy but difficult is this job actually calls for 4+ hours. Yeah, that was in time lapse, and right now I'm sitting at almost a half hour in. And this is my first time doing this particular setup here. On the cars, it's a lot easier with the 1.5 turbo, but because of the escapes, it's got this front cross member that's in the way, and it's just the way this crossover SUV's designed. It is a pain in the butt. I did take this connector out of the way, that way I don't run the risk of breaking it. And you see I put a little pry tool, lady's foot, in there to help keep the motor back. I did try to pry on the water pump. As soon as I realized it didn't really help give me any more leverage to move the motor back, I stopped, just so I didn't ruin the water pump. But that's the process of getting this alternator out. And once I get the new one in, we'll put it back together, and I'll show you the time lapse of putting it back together. All right, guys, so I've got the alternator and everything put back in. I lifted it up to make it a little bit easier to get access to this serpentine belt. Now, this is a stretch belt, so this is specifically designed to not have a tension or anything like that. Just relies on the tension of the pulleys and everything holding it in place. So over time, this belt will naturally stretch out, which forces you to replace it. Now, the hard part is getting this thing on. It is a pain in the butt. So basically what I did is I'm gonna show you, because I did it late in the evening and my battery was dead. So this is a tool. This one came from my tool truck from Matco, but I do know the local auto parts stores do sell it. All it is a pinch tool for rubber lines, and this is the best for this application. You can use small wrenches to get up in the groove of the pulley, and they do make special tools designed specifically for this application. They're expensive, and this is just easier. I did use a pry tool or a long screwdriver just to keep pressure on the upper part of the hose, or the upper part of the belt by the water pump. That way it keeps that tension and allows it to go on straight. Just a quick I'll show you what I did, but I've already done it, so I'm just going to give you an overview on it. Alright, so there's a tool. Now I will tell you, you will run into an issue with the sensor right here, the crankshaft position sensor. It does just disconnect, and it will give you plenty of room for this tool. So what I did is I disconnected this 18mm deep well, and I used a 3/8 ratchet. And once I got all this in place, I shoved a pry bar. Let's see if I can get you in here. There we go. Right here. And basically I was just trying to make sure I kept tension here on the water pump. That way I didn't have to worry about this thing slipping off. So that's the tool. So 18mm goes on the crank nut or crank bolt, and just rotate it around. Keep a little bit of pressure on that upper part of the belt where it goes to the water pump. That way you keep even pressure, and it spun right on. It was tight. It's more annoying than anything else, but that's how it's done.